Hi everyone, Florence and Luke from LDB Group. Today we're going to discuss the 2026 federal budget in a Q&A format. Everything we discuss today is general in nature and we are awaiting legislation for the proposed changes. Before you make any decision in respect to these announcements, we encourage you to speak to one of our advisors and seek tailored advice relevant to your position and needs. Hi Luke,
Hi, Florence.
how are you today?
Well, thanks. Looking forward to talking about the budget.
Exciting and some interesting things to be discussed today.
It was, yeah.
All right, with further ado, let's get started because we've got quite a lot of questions to get through. What makes the 2026 federal budget historically significant, and why should Australians and our clients pay attention?
Look, it's been a really interesting budget. We've had very limited tax reform for the last 25 years. And so what we would be seeing, and what the press is saying, is that this is one of the most important and ambitious budgets in decades. And really it contains the most significant tax reforms we've seen since 1999.
And what are the biggest tax changes every Australian and our clients need to understand from this budget at a very high level, because we're going to get to the details a bit later on?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've seen some pretty big changes to CGT, negative gearing restrictions that have come into place, minimum tax rates for trust distributions, and then a range of business incentives mixed in with the usual personal tax cuts that are thrown out there to voters.
And when do these changes actually take effect? Is it immediate or are there transitional periods?
Absolutely. Look, most of the changes are going to be stepped in. Probably the big one relating to negative gearing applied from budget night. The remainder of them are scheduled to phase in from 1 July 2027, and the big one relating to discretionary trusts will kick in from 1 July 2028.
And which measures are already law versus which ones we're requiring legislation to pass Parliament?
Well, at this stage, most of the proposals we're seeing still need legislation. Probably the main one that people have already heard about will be the superannuation reforms that contained in Division 296, and that was actually passed back in March 2026. The rest of it is a bit of a watch this space.
Okay. And how does this budget compare to previous budgets?
This is the fifth budget from the Albanese government. And as we said, it really contains some of the most ambitious tax reform packages. Reform being a touchy subject for some, but we'll get into the main changes and talk through what that means in a non-political version.
Yes, definitely.